Good morning. How is everyone? See lots of familiar faces, and it's great to be, I'm going to say home. Home in a place that I feel welcomed, I feel energized today, and I think I'm probably still on a ordination high. So let's say it that way. Lots of things happening in the readings today, but I'd like to focus on Elijah. And I'd like to share with you in that focus that Elijah reminds me of my life of journeying to become a deacon. It took 41 years. Now, he only wandered in the desert for 40 days. Mine took a little longer. And let me explain a little bit about that. Back in my 20s, I was a monastic in the Franciscan order for the Roman Catholic Church. And prior to going on to theology and for priesthood, I felt uncalled. So I left. And for the past 30 years, I've been a servant for the state of Ohio, building a career and building friendships across this country. I've grown as an adult. And I think when I left home and went to the order, I had this romantic vision that somehow I was St. Francis. But life changes. So Elijah, in the readings today, is in trouble. He's a hero. He goes and kills all the priests of Baal. And who gets mad? Jezebel. And she wants him dead. And like all prophets, he fled town. He was worried. He thought he was the only one left. In my journey, I felt at times I was the only one left. I didn't know where I was going and what direction I was headed. But I did hear God's call back to me. So Elijah goes out. I didn't have an angel bring me food, though. That was something special on his part. So Elijah flees to the desert. The angel sees him twice, feeds him. And then he rests, and then he hears, I believe, the Lord call him again. And then we have thunder, and we have lightning, and then we have an earthquake. But then we have a silence that took me years to find, because it is in that silence that I heard God's call to bring me back, not as a priest this time, but as a servant, as a deacon, as someone who brings that world to the church and lets them know what's out there. Lets them know all those dangers. Lets them know what they can do. And they may not like it at all times, but that's the deacon's job, to let you know what's happening. I think, how many deacons are in here today? There's deacons everywhere. And I must say, I have to say to Kevin, it was an honor to be ordained with you. So I don't want to forget him. So as my life pursued, and as I told you, I'm a public servant for 30 years, and I work for the Department of Job and Family Services, and I have been a servant. I feed people. I feed 1.9 million people a month. I ensure that their food assistance gets delivered to them on a daily basis, and that their cards work, and that they can feed their families and supplement their food budgets in their homes. I do the back-end stuff. I manage. I take care of all the contracting. I deal with legislation. The governor's office, and all the hoopla that's on top. And I know this is being created and being videos, so I want to say I love my job. It's been a rewarding experience. Trying at times, but rewarding. Let's go back to that silence. The silence Elijah hears God call him. Prophets were subject to being depressed, feeling lonely, the one woman or one man out. That's where Elijah was. He was scared. That's where I was in my journey. I was scared. We're all scared. We get scared because what God calls us to, and that's to hear what's in our hearts, and that's to be silent and listen to that call. Everyone's called, not just deacons and priests. We're servants to you, the people, the church. The church is important. It doesn't have to be a building. It can be outside. It can be anywhere. But it's the silence of your heart is where you'll find God and hear him or her calling you to be who you're supposed to be. Now, it took me a while, but I think I'm happy. I have never felt so happy in my life. I have a new yoke. It's under here. It's my stole somewhere. My brother from California said to me after the ordination, he was amazed at the charge that the deacons have in the church. He was astounded what's asked of us and what we do. He was afraid. He was afraid for me. Can you do this? I said, yeah, I'm up to it. I'm up to learning, and I'm up to serving, and I'm up to being just Paul, being the person I can be to each and every one of you. So what's God do to Elijah? He tells Elijah, get up, get out, and get on your way. That's what happened to me. That's what I hope happens for you today when you leave this service, this liturgy, when you receive the Eucharist, and you take that in your heart, and you go out and you become Christ-like. Now, I'd be amiss if I didn't say something about the Orlando happenings. I'm not going to preach about it. I don't know if I really understand it. I don't know if I think one crowd over another crowd was persecuted. I don't know anything about the person who created the crime. But I have a hymn, a poem, that I'd like to share with you. I'm not going to sing it. That speaks to the weeping God that we have, who weeps for us and longs for us. The alternative reading in the Old Testament today was from Isaiah, and God is really mad because the Israelites won't listen. You know, they're feasting and they're doing all these things. I don't know if the nightclub they were feasting and doing all those things in their lives or what, but I think this poem will help conclude my sermon. And boy, it feels good to be back in the pulpit. I need some water. God who weeps when we are weeping, maker, lover, friend of all, we commit into your keeping those who suffer, struggle, fall. Plant the seeds of peace inside us in these days of faithful choice. Let your word and wisdom guide us as we listen for your voice. Christ, enduring hate and violence, hounded to a martyr's death, calmly meeting taunts with silence, speaking peace with your last breath. Peace and courageous and demanding binds us as we walk your way. May our wills at your commanding turn to acts of peace today. Spirit, strengthen and sustain us. Grant us comfort, hope, and light. Lead us in your ways and train us as we strive for truth and right. Rise above retaliation. Live the peace we long to hear. Look for reconciliation past our anger, pain, and fear. God of every race and nation, God of mercy strong and just, build again in us compassion. Recreate our hope and trust. Though our lives seem dark and empty, may we learn to live as one, till in safety, peace and plenty, all your work on earth is done. Amen.